So a very good evening to one and all, and I welcome you today to a new innings in behalf of Symbiosis International University. I am Dr. Naina Nimkar, Director of Symbiosis School of Sports Sciences. The institute was established in 2016 and takes pride in being the pioneer in launching the MBA in sports management. Symbiosis is celebrating its Golden Jubilee this year, and it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the fifth lecture of the Golden Jubilee Lecture Series. All of the lectures were delivered by eminent and renowned personalities from various fields. We had Dr. R.A. Mashelkar, National Research Professor, Sri Javed Akhtar, distinguished poet, lyricist, and screenwriter, Sri Kailas Satyarthi, social reformer and child rights activist, and Dr. Kiran Muzumdar Shaw, CMD Biocon. Today, Symbiosis is on its way to scoring a century with the striking presence of Mr. Sourav Ganguly, cricket administrator, commentator, and former national cricket team captain, fondly known as the Dada of Indian cricket. He is the 39th and current president of the Board of Control for Cricket in India, BCCI. Welcome, sir. Namaskar.
Uh,
We also have a twist in this series where we have invited an alumnus from the 1989 batch of SIBM Pune, Mr. Samar Singh Shekhar, who will be in conversation with Mr. Sourav Ganguly. Welcome, Mr. Samar. May I now request the Honorable Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Vidya Yeravlikar, to deliver her opening remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Naina. Thank you, Naina. And respected Dr. Muzumdar, sir, my brother, Sourav Da. I mean, I don't know whether I should call you Da or you're my younger brother. And we have...
Saurav. So Saurav Das sounds very, very sweet.
Okay. And Samar Shekhawat, our alumnus of SIBM, who's going to be in conversation with Mr. Sourav Ganguly, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajni Gupte, deans of all the faculty, of all the 8 faculties under Symbiosis International University, several faculty members who have joined, and thousands of students. Most of them are, of course, on YouTube Live, and some of them who are going to ask you questions are also on this platform, the Zoom platform. So it's wonderful to have you again, Sourav, though not physically but virtually. And I think with this pandemic, we are going to move into a virtual world. We've already moved into a virtual world. And this new normal, as we call it, is going to probably be the normal in years to come. But just for the sake of the audience that is beyond Symbiosis, as Naina rightly said, that Dr. Muzumdar sir established Symbiosis in 1971 as a small organization for the welfare of foreign students. And look at what it is now. It's a large multidisciplinary, multicultural university with repute, and we are ranked amongst the top 50 universities in India, and specifically our law and management are ranked amongst the top 10 in the country by the National Institutional Ranking Framework. So with this, of course, I think we get all these laurels and success to Symbiosis because of our alumni. And here, Samar Shekhawat, one of them, is here and is going to be in conversation with Sourav. But I must also say that a lot of family members from Sourav's family are also alumni of Symbiosis. And therefore, you know, there is a close association of Sourav with Symbiosis beyond, of course, our family. So I'm not going to take much time because I know he's going to be one of the speakers where there's, I think, the largest audience now, from especially the students, because you know, they've seen him, they worship him like God, and now he's here actually almost live in front of you know, in front of them, and they want to be in conversation. We received hundreds of questions from students, Sourav, but we could select a few. So after Samar is in conversation, finishes his conversation with you, there will be students who will be asking you questions directly. And this lecture series is basically, you know, to ignite minds of these young men and women who have joined us and who are with us in the university, because we always believe that there is a lot of learning that happens beyond their classrooms. And I think that is what they remember most. And, you know, the knowledge, of course, is imparted by the wonderful teachers that teach them in class now, of course, virtually. But it's more important to, you know, have them interact with people like you, because I think your lessons of your lives whether it was Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw, Dr. Mashelkar, and Mr. Javed Akhtar, and now you. I think your lives are like almost like a book. The whole journey that you have gone through, the ups and downs, and to where you people have reached is something that these young people definitely need to know. It's not all rosy. It's a lot of hard work, great determination, dedication, and most important, I think, is to believe in oneself when you decide to do something. So with these few words, I welcome you once again to Symbiosis, and I hope that your association with Symbiosis keeps growing in this way, and just that we are so fond of you that I have no words to express. Thank you, Naina, and over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya, for those wonderful opening remarks. You really bowled us over. So I now invite the Honorable Chancellor of Symbiosis International Deemed University, Dr. Sp Hussein, who is also the founder of Symbiosis and an acclaimed academic and inspiring visionary, to deliver his address. Dr. Hussein.
Namaste, Sourav.
Namaste, sir. Namaste. Namaste.
Today's distinguished guest, Sourav Ganguly, Dr. Vidya, the Pro-Chancellor of Symbiosis International University, Dr. Rajni Gupte, the Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis International University, Naina Nimkar, the Director of Symbiosis Sports Science Institute, innumerable students, alumni, friends. So, I am indeed very happy that you are now with us to address our students in the form of question and answer. I must thank you for choosing the right subject, leadership in times of crisis. And I do believe that mankind is facing crisis after crisis throughout its evolution. And therefore, crisis is not new to humanity. If you take a Hindu religion, there is a concept of Dashavatar. And these 10 incarnations of Vishnu have appeared on this planet whenever there was crisis. And in a way, the avatars were the born leaders. Whenever evil exceeds, whenever there is corruption, whenever there is fall of character, and whenever there is crisis, either across the globe or in our country, somebody rises, he becomes a leader, and he solves the problem, he overcomes the crisis. Take, for example, Bhagavan Sri Krishna. In Gita, he says that whenever there is Glanir Bhavati Bharata, Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yugi. So, Bhagavan Krishna is assured that whenever there is crisis, he will appear on the planet and he will triumph over the evil. What I want to say is, the crisis has been with us for a long, long time. Sometimes it is local crisis, sometimes it is global crisis, sometimes it is an institutional crisis. And my grandson, Dr. Amu, was telling me the other day that there was crisis even in cricket. And that crisis was so much that there was considerable match fixing. And the point came when people were wondering whether cricket, which is extremely popular in our country, which is almost a religion for millions of people, and Vidya rightly said, you happen to be the god of cricket, whether cricket has lost its credibility because of match fixing. And we know the crisis in BCCI, how the whole matter went to Supreme Court, how Lodha committee was appointed, and there was a tremendous crisis. And it is in this crisis in cricket that we found a leader in you. And therefore, you rightly deserve to be a leader in crisis. And I'm sure under your leadership, not only you will be treated as the idol in cricket, a god in cricket, but you will also inspire our young minds. You will ignite their minds and give them courage to face the crisis very boldly. Saurabh, I always tell my students that tough times don't last, tough men and women last. You are one of them, and therefore I'm very happy to welcome you.
Thank you so much, sir. In the presence of Mr. Ganguly, I think you really scored a 6 with your address. It was really, really nice. We are all very eager to hear Mr. Ganguly. But before we get going, let me introduce our alumnus, Mr. Samar Singh Shekhar. Mr. Samar has been a business management leader for over a decade, and he brings with him multiple industry, multicultural, and multi-locational experience. He has worked with United Breweries, PepsiCo, Spencer, Cadbury, Dabur, and many more brands. He is a thought leader and a professional public speaker, a cricket enthusiast, one who has worked very closely with Indian cricket, and particularly with Mr. Sourav. So I hand over the next innings of this series to Mr. Samar. Over to you, Mr. Samar.
Thank you, Nayana. Introducing me in front of Sourav Ganguly sounds a little facetious, but I've been working for over 3 decades and not 1 decade. When I was asked to introduce Sourav, I said, no, that's a really tough task. So what we decided was to make a small video. So Praveen, if I could request you to play a small video for the benefit of our audience. I think that since Sourav is smiling, I'm feeling like a fielder who managed to save runs at the boundary line. We'll go straight ahead, and I'd like to give the students as much opportunity as possible because, frankly, Sourav is the one that they've come to hear. But I'll start by asking, Sourav, all the questions we're going to ask today are sort of from your real life story, from your playing days, as well as your life thereafter, and trying to put it into a business context. The first question is, the business context is going against your natural instinct to succeed. Many people don't know that you are right-handed in everything except batting. And you actually started batting right-handed, but changed to batting left-handed, and obviously that paid off enormously for you. My question is, what advice would you give to leaders to go against their natural abilities and change their game to succeed?
Samar, thank you for the question. Firstly, I would, before I answer this, just give me 2 minutes to thank Dr. Mazumdar and Dr. Vidya for giving me this opportunity to speak to the students and all of you here. Symbiosis is very, very special to me, and it's just because the way Dr. Vidya and Dr. Mazumdar has been with me for such a long period of time. They're warmth, they're so courteous, and every time I speak to them, and I speak to Dr. Vidya a lot more, it just feels I'm talking to my elder sister. I've been to the university once before and was absolutely amazed to see the facilities which have been given to the boys and girls. And I'm very happy to know that you've been one of the alumni in the late 80s and early 90s. So it's an honor for me here to be here again this afternoon. I know I've interacted once before with the students when I came to the college about a year or 2 years back, and I thoroughly loved it. Success just does not come easily to individuals. And when you look at Dr. Vidya, Dr. Mazumdar, it's not just what they have built, but it's with the attitude and mindset which they have built and interacted with the students over a period of such a long time. And that is why this institution is where it is, and so much close to a lot of people. I know a lot of important people come and speak and participate in activities of this university. And I'm not surprised, because I'm sure they must have got the same warmth as I have received over the past 3 or 4 years. Coming to your question, Samar, in terms of natural instincts and whether natural instincts is the only way to go forward, it's a bit of both, Samar, because in life, especially from a world which I come from, of sports, natural instincts are very, very important, because at the end of the day, when a delivery comes at 150 kilometers an hour at that speed, it's your reflexes and natural instincts which take over. Similarly, in leadership, I've seen the best leaders in the world, are natural. The best leaders in the world take decisions on the field. And yes, you have team meetings, you prepare, you do a whole lot of homework before the start of a big game, because that's how you prepare. Preparation is very important to succeed. You just don't land up and be successful on that particular day. You prepare, you work hard, and you have your own plans, and you have your strategies to win cricket matches, do a business, pass your exams. But at the end of the day, adaptability is also very important. Yes, you do plan, you do create your own data for success, but then at that particular moment, sometimes the world, the situation demands something else, and I think you have to adapt. And I've seen that as a leader myself when I was captain of India for such a long period of time. Is you have innumerable team meetings. It may be a bit more precise in your world, in the business world, because it actually scripted and actually goes by the way you decide and plan. But in a sportsman's life, it is influenced by a lot of other surrounding situations, and you have to take decisions at the moment. There have been times when I've been out to captain and planned a field position for a certain particular batsman, but then have changed completely when I walked out into the field, because the form of that particular player on that particular day was much better than what we expected. So it's important in life, it's important in your journey to be successful. Yes, you have your ideas, yes, you have your game A, and or rather plan A and plan B, as they say in life, but it's very, very important to be adaptable. The best leaders, the best people under crisis is those who have modified their way of operations along with the situation they have faced, and have not been rigid. Rigid people, I don't think in life is always successful. Yes, it works at times. Sometimes it's important to be rigid, but I think most number of times the situation should demand action, and you should adjust and work that way, which I believe is very important for success. In sports, it's a must. Game plans decide 20% of the matches. And I'll talk about a great leader, MS Dhoni, who's had successful titles over the years, whether it's the world titles, whether it's the IPL titles. He doesn't have team meetings before the game. He does not believe in restricting people's thought processes with his own ideas. He accepts people's ideas and then reacts to it on that particular situation and on the ground. And I think that's a very important way of going about things for all of us. You prepare, you think about what you're going to do, but at the same time be in a position to change at that particular moment, because that is very important.
How wonderfully said. Sourav answered my next 3 questions as well. So I'm going to skip to the first question from our student, the business context of starting a business and building a team from scratch. Because that's pretty much what you did when you came in at a sensitive time, as Dr. Majumdar mentioned. So Rohan Mehta from the Symbiosis Institutions of Operations Management in Nashik. Rohan, if you could articulate your question, please. Yes, Rohan, go ahead.
Hi, Rohan.
Yeah. Hello, sir. Hi. So you became the captain of the team at a sensitive time in the history of Indian cricket. You built a team of high-performing, gutsy, and result-oriented individuals literally from scratch. you also pick talented youngsters to balance this side alongside the experienced cricketers. So my question is that how, like, what lessons does this hold when it comes to starting a business or leading a team in the corporate world?
You know, it has a whole lot of spectrum, Rohan, but I will answer it to you shortly, and I'll answer you on the basis of the talent identification which you have spoken. You know, in a team sport, whether it's cricket or football, or we lived in a team all our life, and in the same way, when you do a business, when you enter into a corporate world, you have to work with a team. You are a part of the team. At some stage, you'll go and become a leader of the team. And I think what is very important to have the right kind of people to work with. There's no perfect word, as they say, to what is right, because you know, when I led India, I had players coming from different parts of the world, different parts of the country. One came from the south, one came from the north, one came from the west, one came from the east, and they all had their own habits. They had their own languages. They had their own way of being brought up and coming into a system where you all have to perform together as a team. So that was a big challenge, to get everybody working together. And I had certain simple ways of leading a side. I had a plan. I believed in winning. Yes, on your journey to win, you lose a few games, but I was never someone who settled with a draw. It's either you win or you lose, because only when you win, and only when you deliver, and only when you take decisions, you actually go forward in any aspect of life, whether it's the corporate world, or whether it's the sports world, or it's the educational world. And when I picked players, I picked on the basis of their capability. You know, in sport, there is no hard and fast rule of how you pick a player. You know, in school, in the corporate world, the degrees are a yardstick, the numbers are a yardstick, the colleges you've passed out from are a yardstick. But in sport, it's not. You look at a Lionel Messi. You know, he was picked by Barcelona when he was 12 or 13 years of age. Nobody knew where he would finish and what he would ultimately become. They trained him, they worked with him. He spent all his life in Barcelona. He's 33 years of age now, and he's become what he is. So it's about the eye for talent. It's about identifying someone and believing that he can deliver, and then working on him. It may happen that at times he may not deliver and may not become what he is. You know, how many in the world become Messi? But that doesn't stop Barcelona from identifying individuals and helping them to progress and become the best in the world. So for me, it was identification of talent, and I'm sure it's the same in your corporate world with the group you work with. There's the people who you are involved in a project, and once you identify those players or the talent who you work with, you have to allow them to express themselves. You know, it's not about hiring individuals and telling them what to do. You know, I know you all of you have heard about Steve Jobs. He said he hired professionals to tell him how to do it rather than the other way around. And I think I firmly believe in it. When you pick individuals to do a job for you, you have to have faith in them. You have to allow them to express themselves, allow them that freedom to succeed. Otherwise you restrict them and take away their ability out of their lives. And once you decide who that individual is, you have to take that fear factor away from them, the fear of failure. In all of us in this world, we want to be successful. You, me, Dr. Mazumdar, Dr. Vidya, you know, all in our different fields. Samar, all in our different fields came into this world to be successful. I wanted to play for India. Samar wanted to be with the topmost brands in the world. Dr. Vidya, Dr. Mazumdar wanted to create the best university in the country. So all of us come with the dream of being successful, and all of us fail. That's life. You know, there's nobody in the world who succeeded all the time, and there is nobody in the world who failed all the time. The best in the business succeeded more number of times they failed, and the best in the business managed their failures a lot better than the not so successful ones. In life, it's about managing your failures. And you know, when you lead, when you get into a leadership position with individuals, you take that fear factor away. You allow them to express. It's not about what the selectors think about you. It's not about what your co-stars or teammates think about you. It's not about what the media thinks about you. You have to create an atmosphere where it's work, and for a batsman, it's that red or the white ball coming out of the bowler's hand. You should find a way to score runs and be free of any pressure. And I think that's most important in a leadership unit, that you have to take that fear factor away from individuals. You pick players or pick individuals to perform for you. You don't pick players or individuals to drop them and pick the new one. I think that's very, very important in your journey to success, that you pick individuals to succeed for you and you give them that opportunity to succeed.
Thank you. What a leadership masterclass. And on Saurav's point about failure, everyone talks about Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan himself says that nobody ever says that I've missed more than 13,000 shots in my entire career. You know, I've missed more shots than anyone else. Something that I have personally struggled with, I became a leader at 24. I had people as old as my father reporting to me. We have fortunately Adarsh Singh from the Symbiosis Institute of Operations Management, Nashik, asking a similar question. The business context is being the leader amongst people as qualified and competent as you. So, Adarsh, if you could ask your question, please.
Hello, sir. Hello, Saurabh, sir.
Hi, Adarsh, how are you?
Fine, sir. Thank you. First of all, thanks for making our childhood memorable.
Thank you, Adarsh.
So, Saurabh, sir, you had superstars and larger-than-life personalities in your team. People like Tendulkar, Dravid, Lakshman, Sehwag, and Kumble. So, some of them were even senior to you. So, similarly, in the corporate world, how does one work with and inspire strong and competent team members and peers to perform as one team and yet let them not forget that you are the boss?
Adarsh, can you say that finishing line once again?
And yet let them not forget that you are the boss.
You know, that's a fine balance, isn't it, Adarsh? And as you very rightly said, and someone laughs because I know where is he coming from. He's worked for too many corporates and he's had too many bosses. And I know where is he coming from because I've gone through that same as well. So, at the end of the day, you must remember, when you have been put in a leadership position to deliver, it is because you're good. You will be someday in a leadership position, others, where your company or your corporate or your own business will put you in positions where you have to take decisions. As I said, we work in a team environment. I work with 15 players. You're going to work with probably a lot more. Dr. Majumdar worked with thousands of teachers and students in his institution, and he led them successfully. So I believe the best leaders create a leadership group among themselves. As you said, I had Sachin, Rahul, Anil, Sehwag, Lakshman, who on their own day could captain India. And I was fortunate enough to be leading them in the prime of their career. And my mindset was simple. I have been given a job, and it's got to be the same with you, that you have been given the job by people who you think is good. Remember, in life, you don't get things if you're not good enough. That's the way the world works. Only when people have complete faith in your abilities, and believe that you can deliver, that's when they put yourself in a leadership position. So be free. Don't have any inferiority complex. X is better than Y, Y is better than Z. They have been your leaders. I remember going into my first team meeting in Cochin in the year 2000 when I first became captain, and I had 5 captains in the team meeting room: Azhar, Sachin, Ajay Jadeja, who have captained India in different times. And actually, I tell you honestly, as I walked out of my hotel room and went into the meeting room, I was actually panicking. How do I address the big boys? How do I address those who have captained me? But then you need to take a deep breath. You need to go back to your drawing board and say, hey, listen, I've been given this job because they think I'm good enough. I've been given this job because as much as people thought they could be leaders in their time, I could also be a leader in my time. So create a leadership group, get them involved in your project. Don't keep them away, because by keeping people away in a team environment, you actually stop them from performing, because you must remember that their performance influences your performances as well. When you create a balance sheet, when you're asked to do a project and deliver profits for your brand or your company, you must remember the other 13 or 14 who you have in the group is also working towards that same goal. It's very important to make them understand that although they may not be the captains in the team, although they may not have the word captain or the boss in the corporate world, they are still leaders in their own way. Their decisions, their discussions should be respected, and it's not by words, it's by actions. You get them involved, You do as they advise you because they come, and the more you keep them away, more you don't take their advices, you'll see them that they slowly keep going away from you. They feel that they're not important in that unit. They feel that irrespective of what they do, they will still be juniors to you, and that actually creates a problem in a group environment. So the best thing is, to put your egos behind and stop this thinking in your mind that my way is the highway. The best leaders don't follow that route. The best leaders sit, the best leaders discuss, the best leaders take opinions from the others and then do what he feels right for his brand and for his team. Remember one thing, that when you get into a leadership position in your life, every night you go to sleep and put your head on that pillow, you must tell yourself that I have done everything what I could for the best interest of my institution, whether it's a team, whether it's a university, or whether it's the company you work with. As long as you can go to sleep thinking that I've given my best, good will happen, because nobody is perfect in the world. Even the best leaders, even the best CEOs, even the best chairmen make mistakes, because that's life. They are human. They will do more things right, as I said at the start of my talk, that they will do more things right and do less mistakes. The best in the world makes the less mistakes, but they make mistakes. Remember that. And I think that's the attitude you need to have. It's not about throwing people away, trying to keep your position by keeping them away. It's about including them in your thought processes and getting the best out of them. And I did that. I created a leadership unit in Sachin, Rahul, make them realize that this team is as much as theirs as it is mine, and their performances, their decisions are as important as it is mine. But at the end of the day, when I walked into the park, once I crossed that circle, I knew that I've been given this responsibility to lead the team, and I will lead the best way I think, and the best way which is important for India to win. And I think that really helped. So you must be honest to yourself. You must be honest to your colleagues, because people understand the word of action is more than the word of mouth. And once you get that in place, and once you generate that faith among the people who you work with, you will be a very successful leader.
What amazing golden words. I wish someone had spoken these to me before I started working. Let's move on to one of the pioneering achievements under Saurav's territory, which is basically driving performance, especially in unfamiliar overseas conditions, and the business context in terms of how do you become better when the market and the world around you is so unfamiliar. Sonali Lokur from SS Nashik has a question. Sonali, if you could come on and ask your question, please.
My question for you, Saurav, is that under you, India became a far better team overseas in Australia, England, South Africa, the West Indies, etc. What lessons are there for leading and managing businesses in unfamiliar conditions and the so-called VUCA world?
It's a very good question, Sonali, and I think it's so very pertinent to the modern world. It's about thinking differently. It's about trying to make a difference. A lot of us in our lives try and be safe. When we get responsibilities, let's do the right things, let's talk the right things, let's be at the right place, and you won't be criticized. It's no point just being a player. It's important to become a game changer. And I think that is what should be the aim of every young entrepreneurs in life. That I'm not going to turn in office to just possess one of the chairs, sit in front of one of the computers and do the regular work and go home. I need to get into that system to make a difference, so that at the end of my career, when I walk out and people start introspecting, people start judging what I did during my tenure as an employee or as a player, they would say that he's someone who's made a difference to the unit. And I think when I became captain in 2000, that was my goal, because I played through a period where we were exceptionally well individually. We had Tendulkar, Dravid, Lakshman, Azharuddin, who individually would score hundreds in their careers, but India would not win, especially away from home. And I think we wanted to change that. In life, it's all about getting respect of the opposition. When you're working for an institution like Symbiosis, you know that at the back of your mind that an institution in Delhi, an institution in Mumbai, an institution in Calcutta respects that name. And I think that is what is very important in your journey to success. My message was loud and clear to the members I joined. I said, listen, I'm not going to be one of someone who would be happy winning on turning pitches in India. Prepare turning pitches. We had the best spinners in the world, and they would run through sides. We wanted to be respected all around the world, and for that we needed to play well all around the world. So the system had to change. The way of playing had to be changed. We stopped playing on turning pitches. We prepared ourselves to go and do away in tougher conditions. You must remember in life that when you prepare for tough situations, the easier ones gets sorted very, very quickly, and it's never the other way around. When you trained, when an athlete trained in his journey to become a Olympic gold medal winner, or in your journey to become an Asian Games gold medal winner, or a journey to become the best batsman in the world, you always trained at a level higher than what is normal. Because on that particular day, you go into that competition confident that, I have done this again and again and again to be successful. And I know at the back of my mind that I will be successful on that pressure day. And I think that's very, very important. It's your mindset to change. The best in the world never followed just the books. Otherwise, we would not have had a Bill Gates, because he just dropped out of university and created something different. So when I became a captain of my national team, my message was pretty clear that, hey, listen, we have to go abroad and play. We cannot be, jo Hindi mein kehte hain, apne ghar mein sher. We cannot be like that. We have to go and beat teams outside. And that happened. We had exceptional players. We changed the yardsticks of success. It was not just 100 in Mumbai or a Kolkata or a Delhi, which actually got you reward. 100 at the Wanderers, 100 at the MCG, 100 at the Lords actually got applauded a lot more. 5 wickets on a test match at the SCG got applauded a lot more. The spinners were judged on how well they bowled outside. So you just completely changed the system on which things worked. And you slowly realize that change initially is not very easy, because you'll have people who resist it. People will say, yaar, pehla hi to theek tha, why do you want to bring it something different? But, once you bring that change, and once you get the people who you want to change in sync with your decisions, you'll see how well they adapt. And then they come back to you in a month and a year or a few years' time and say, we resisted it, but now we realize that's the right way forward. So it's important to come out of the comfort zone. The best in the business don't live in the comfort zone. Happy with a 50 or a 40, happy with a 70%, happy with an 80%. It doesn't work. The best in the business come out of their comfort zones and try to create things on their own. And I think that was very important for me. It was to change the image of Indian cricket outside. Pick players who would battle under the tough conditions. In cricket, when it was quick and it was fast, when the best fast bowlers are operating, you could see in the eyes of the people who wanted to be in and who did not want to be in. It's not about it's me and not why me. And you identified those sort of individuals to take you forward in your journey to success. I identified the likes of Sehwag and Yuvraj and all these people who just stood up and never got bullied by the opposition. And I think that's very, very important. It's about coming out of the comfort zone and sending a message that, hey, listen, we need a shake-up, because every shake-up, trust me, comes out with good. It's not always the bad which comes out with shake-ups.
Okay, what an amazing response, Sonali. I think she'll probably go and run a 10K right now after this. But I think one of the big things, Sourav, that you were known for was spotting talent and grooming the next generation. You have a brilliant eye for spotting talent and getting the best out of the team and grooming them really to take over greater responsibilities. People like Zach, UV, Zahir Khan, Yuvraj Singh, Mohammad Kaif, Harbhajan, Virender Sehwag, all personal friends of mine, but they swear by you. And they went on to become legends of the game. Now, my question is, how does one do that in the corporate world, especially given the insecurities that many corporate leaders have? And, corporate leaders try and suppress talent, but it's so different in the sporting world.
No, it happens in the sporting world as well.
Okay.
No, it is. But the difference between the corporate world and the sporting world is, in the corporate world, everything happens indoors. And in the sporting world, it's out open. The millions are watching. So if you go out there and get 100, it doesn't matter what others think about you. And it happened to me when I first came into international cricket. I came from a very unsuccessful place in terms of cricket, Kolkata. They could not believe that good batsmen, good cricketers could be produced from that part of the world. They felt we were weak. Yes, they had reasons for it, because history showed that the state did not produce great players or quality players. Look at MS Dhoni. Did anybody expect that a man from Ranchi would turn up and have such an influence in Indian cricket? So you face that in the cricket world as well. So at the end of the day, your performance is yours, Samar, and I've always believed that this is what pressure is all about: the pressure to prove yourself. At the sports level, at the corporate level, there always someone who will say, "Arey yaar, chodo na, isse nahi hota." But then either you succumb to it or sit back and tell yourself, it doesn't matter what the world thinks about you. It's what I think about myself. It's how I am going to change the way people think about me. And it's possible. Even when I came back in the year 2006, after being dropped for 4 months by Greg Chappell, I knew that I was always on the borderline. I would have had one poor series and maybe somebody else would have played instead of me. And I said to myself that, listen, you've been around for 10 years. You've been successful, and it doesn't go away that quickly. At times in life, because all of us, when we grow up, we need an arm around us to say that I support you, I am with you, and I will help you in the best possible way in your journey to success. But at times, and I realized from the year 2006 to 2010, when I stopped playing for the country, and when I realized that I was on the borderline, I had to perform all the time to keep the faith of people intact, that he could still play at this level. I actually realized my best potential. When I finished in 2007, I went to Sachin, who was one of my best friends. I told him that, Sach, I'll finish. And he said, I'm surprised that you've taken this decision. But as and when you go, I must tell you that this is the best I've seen you play in the last 4 years. And the reason I say this to all of you is that, all of us will be under pressure. Pressure is something you'll have to live with it. But you must understand, and I can say that with my own experience, that sometimes you realize your best when you're under the most pressure. And for that, you have to work hard. For that, you have to be committed to your job. For that, you have to make sure that you give the best in whatever you've been asked to do, whether it's a project, whether it's scoring runs, whether it's building an institution. You just have to turn up giving the best, and you'll realize that when the world doesn't believe in you, you actually deliver the best, because that little bit of pressure is very, very important to succeed. The most nervous times for a batsman is when he sits outside in the dugout with his pads and gloves on, waiting to go in next. Your hands get cold, your palms get wet, but then as you walk past that line and you're in, you say to yourself that this is my time. Sometimes pressure and nervousness is good for you to succeed. So when you walk into a system where people are putting pressure on you, it is good. It is actually a message to say, hey, come out of the comfort zone and deliver your best. And you will realize that at times you actually do better when you're under pressure than not. There are times when you've done so well, people say, oh, he'll come, he'll deliver, and he'll do the job. You'll see that your deliverables has not been as good as it was when somebody has put the pump on you. Somebody is waiting for you to fail so that you leave. Somebody is waiting for you to fail so that he can bring in someone, and you actually play the best. I remember scoring 239 against Pakistan in Bangalore, and I didn't sleep the night before because I knew that I had to get 100 to get picked for the next series. And I was tossing and turning, and then when I woke up in the morning, India was 60 for 4. I batted at number 4 because Sachin was injured that game, and I went on to get a 239. Sometimes the best you get out of yourself is when you're under pressure. So don't get bogged down by pressure. Accept it. And pressure is something, once you accept, it becomes a part of your life. It becomes a part of your system. When I finished playing and I was doing all the things around the world, probably making more money than I did when I was playing, somebody asked me, what do you miss most? You're still as busy as before. You do so many things. You're still loved by people. I said, what I miss most is when I wake up at 6:30 in the morning on the day of a test match or a one-day cricket with the pressure in my mind that if I fail, I may not be picked. And then when I walk out on that cricket field and when I hit that pitched up delivery of Dren McGrath through the covers and finish the end of the day with 100 in spite of being under pressure is the best satisfaction in the world. And I think very important for individuals to accept. It's like you, when you work for Pepsi, you had to sell X number of bottles and get the Gangulis and Dravids to shoot for the Ye Dil Mange More. And we did it. And we did it. So pressure is very, very important in life. It actually helps you to perform better.
Yeah, that's excellent. So we'll move to your current role and some of the imperatives in your current role. Sort of, in the corporate world today, driving diversity and impacting business at the building block level is a big thing. So Deepashri Bhagwat from the SSC has a question. Deepashri?
Sir, you are doing a lot for women's cricket and the Ranji and first class game. In this context, I would like to ask, how can business leaders drive diversity and impact at the grassroots level to positively impact current and future performance?
Saurav, she's talking about how much you've done for women's cricket and what you're doing for Ranji, at the building blocks of the game, and how business can learn from that and drive diversity and impact at the ground level.
It's like building a house. The base is very important. Once you have the foundation well, the rest takes care of themselves. And it's the same thing in cricket. Once as a child, when you're growing up and you're playing and you're training, they get your basics right, they get your foundation right, and that helps in creating your future, creating a champion out of everyone. I've seen Sachin bat for 6-7 hours a day when he was being trained by his coach Ramakant Achreka. They said batting became his muscle memory, so that he never faltered. He was not the biggest trainer in his cricketing career. He would not be running around the Wankhede Stadium 10-11 laps every morning to get himself fit. He was naturally fit, but his entire intensity was on the sport. How much he batted, how much he bowled, how many catches he took. And I think that made him the Sachin Tendulkar we know. I think investment at the ground level, at the base level is very, very important, because that's what creates players. I'm a big believer in first class cricket, because all of us came from first class cricket. It's like going from class 1, 2, 3, and then to graduation, and then becoming who you are, whether it's a doctor, whether it's an engineer, or whether it's the most certified management scholar. So if you invest in youth, if you invest at the first class level, that what creates the structure for you to become a top team. And this has been one of my goals when I became the BCCI president, that it's time to make sure that the players who actually created a Tendulkar or a Dravid or a Gavaskar or a Kapil Dev are strong enough. Because if that level of cricket is strong enough, you will see more and more top class players coming out of India. And I think that's the part of every corporate. It's the base, it's the basic which they get it right. And I think that helps them to succeed. Once you have a strong foundation, you can even handle the shakeups which happens on your journey to be successful, because that is bound to happen. You'll have years when you won't make much profits. You will have years when the balance sheet, or the quarters when the balance sheet will not be reflecting what you want. But once you do this, you must also remember that when it's the best time, you make the best. It's like when you're batting on 100, you must make sure you get a double 100, because you must remember that the next innings, you don't start from 100, you start from 0.
Excellent. I think we're running out of time, but we will take one last question. On innovation in the game, Saurav, they say in business, constant innovation is an essential requirement for business success. Now, Lavanya Singh from the SIBM Pune has a question along that. Lavanya, if you could ask your question, and then I will hand over to the rest of the program. Lavanya, yes, go ahead.
Hello, sir.
Hello, Lavanya.
My question is very simple. It's like, what kind of innovation mindset is required to succeed in business, especially if it is already doing well?
Can you say once again?
What kind of innovation mindset is required to succeed in business, especially if it is already doing well?
Saurav, may I just interject and give the context? We've been talking about innovation. Cricket is one of the few games that has multiple formats. We're talking about day-night matches, pink balls, maybe 90 overs a side in Test cricket. There is people talking about Test matches being 4 days. Be that as it may, I think there's been a lot of innovation in cricket. I think Lavanya's question is, how can we innovate constantly in business, especially when the business is already doing well?
I think in business or in sport or in anything, you have to keep moving forward. There's nothing called stagnant. The day you feel that everything's fine, we need to hold on to this and make sure we are earning the profits at the way we are doing now. It's actually a backward step. And I have Samar with me, who's been a business person, being involved with so many corporates. You will see that the best corporates in the world keep progressing, keep finding new ways to succeed. They don't stand. And in sport, it's the same. In life, it's the same. You have to wake up every day to make a difference. You have to wake up every day to create something new. Yes, present is important because with time things change, innovation comes in. When I joined international cricket, I could never hit the ball that far. When I started playing first class cricket and when I got picked for India, I could never hit that ball that far. And people started talking about me hitting sixes. It's something which I learned over the years. It's something which I learned because I became strong. I realized that if I have to succeed at that level consistently, I have to find the boundaries more often. And I innovated. I got in new things. I got a new way of playing the game. And same thing in the business world. You have to find new ways of reaching to the consumers. You find new way of getting your products available to the market, and you change because your experience, your profession is different. And the fitness standards have changed. You see the modern day cricketers, everybody is on Instagram training, showing the world that how much they run, how much they train. It was not the case in our time. And I remember the great Gavaskar wouldn't train much. He never believed in training. He believed in batting, he believed in fielding, he believed in bowling. I saw the great Sachin Tendulkar to do that same. And there have been players who trained and trained to get fitter, who believed that if you get fit, you look at Virat Kohli of the modern generation, completely different. He's fit, he's strong, he's fast because he's innovated his way of playing the sport. He's realized that the sport has moved. Gone are the days where you could be an average fielder. You have to be the best fielder in the business to get a place in the team. It's not about just scoring runs, it's also about saving runs on the park also. And it's the same thing in business. You have to move, you have to understand the market situation and bring in new innovations every time. As I said at the start of my discussion, planning is fine, meeting is fine, but adjustment and innovations are very, very important in your journey to success. There's only one way in life, Chief, and I realize that it's that you keep moving forward. There's nothing called stagnant. If you keep moving back, obviously it's a red alert. But even if you're stagnant and you believe what I'm doing right currently is right, you're still in danger of not getting where you would desire. So it's important to keep moving forward.
Thank you, Sourav. What wonderful and amazing management lessons from the cricketing world. Hopefully, I was able to draw a parallel between the sporting world and the management world. I'll hand over to you, Dr. Nayana, for you to take us through to the close of the function today.
Thank you, Mr. Samar. Thank you so much, Mr. Ganguly and Mrs. Samar. I think we had a great match today, and our audience have gained great life lessons from the experiences that you shared with us. Dhanyavad.
Thank you, madam. Once again, it's my pleasure. It's been my pleasure to be with all of you. I hope you keep safe, and I hope you keep serving the students, the young generation, as you've done wonderfully. And as I say once again, it's the warmth which I will always remember when I left that university 2 years ago. Hopefully, I'll see you again soon in person, because this will go. As they say, life moves on and things get left behind, and hopefully we'll be back to normal very, very soon. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Saurav, we have some more questions.
Yes, yes.
Oh, Didi, okay, sure, I'm ready.
Dr. Vidya would like to speak a few words.
Actually, I just thought that
Dr. Vidya was like the fitness trainer. When you realize that you run those 10 laps, and you've done it for the day and you're ready to take your shoes off, quite you would come and say there are 5 more sprints to go, which I'm ready.
No, just one question from me. I'm very curious to know. Of course, I don't understand as much of cricket technically as what my son Ameya and my husband Rajiv. They eat, breathe, sleep cricket, and my little grandson is, I'm sure, going to become one more cricketer. But I don't understand. But I do understand that we are going through bad times now, and like as teachers, we have to teach virtually and do all these programs virtually. Now the matches are going to be without audience. So I don't know how you all are going to deal with the situation when, I'm sure you always need an audience in front of you when you teach. You don't have students, you're teaching virtually, and we don't even know whether students are listening to us or not. Likewise, I think when you'll play on the ground, you need those, all those claps and those
Very
whatever,
true.
even the hoots coming out. So how does it feel?
Very true, but that's the way the current situation is. But what is the most positive thing, and I feel what needs to be done at this moment is the effort to get life back. There are two options to it. Because of the COVID and because of the infection, you don't want people to be too close to each other. But very soon you will see, Didi, that there'll be 30% people in the ground with social distancing. They're properly tested and allowed to enter the ground. But I think that's going to happen over a period of time. But I think what cricket will do, what, as you said, the teaching students over virtual, is that it is actually an effort to bring life back to normal. This will go on for another 5-6 months till the vaccine comes in, and I'm sure then everything will be back to normal, because this is just a virus which is already weakening, and then hopefully we'll get past this. These are small, bumps in life on our journey, and we just have to get past it. So I feel it is more of, we could have easily avoided the IPL. You could have easily shut the university and said, we'll get you back when everything is fine. But then that's what we humans are. And that's why we have survived all the difficult times. There have been wars which people have come out from. There have been other bugs which people have come out from over the years. It's only because the mankind, the people like you and me and all of us in this discussion have the mental mindset to say, hey, listen, if people are pushing us to the walls, we'll find a way to get back and get life normal. And I think that's very, very important. Crowds will watch it on television. I'm sure with the ratings which all these IPL matches and all these movies, they're actually expecting the highest rating of IPL this season, because they believe that if they don't turn up in the ground, they'll be actually watching on their television sets. And so there's a positive in everything.
Great. And before I hand it over to our Vice Chancellor to give the formal vote of thanks, Sourav, I must say that we all thank you very much for engaging with our students. I can only request Dr. Muzumdar sir to give you a title of a professor, because you've actually given management lessons that even students would enjoy management lessons in their classroom. So it's excellent to relate your life story to what's happening in the business, and I think this is a great way of learning even for our students. So we hope that you keep coming back to these classes to teach.
Time for you, ma'am.
Yes, and teach every batch. Okay, so I hand over to our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajni Gupte, who will deliver the formal vote of thanks, and then we'll close.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Vidya.
Thank you, ma'am.
Dr. Sp Muzumdar, the Honorable Chancellor of the Symbiosis International University and the founder of Symbiosis. Dr. Vidya Yeravdekar, the Pro-Chancellor of the university. Dr. Naina, Samar, the deans, faculty, staff, and students. We had yet another brilliant session for the Symbiosis Golden Jubilee Lecture Series. Today's guest, a prolific one-day batsman, a very successful Indian captain overseas, the Prince of Kolkata, a brilliant strategist who won overseas when things were not so very easy, as he mentioned. And hence today's theme, leadership in times of crisis, was just so apt for him. Mr. Ganguly, you focused on several things which relate to the world of business, and you drew such wonderful parallels with the world of sport. You spoke about going against natural instinct, something that we don't even think about so easily, to adapt as required by your team, by the situation. I think that's a very wonderful lesson for all of us to learn. You spoke about believing in winning, picking and backing talent, having faith in them, making sure that they know you're standing by them. Leveraging team strengths, again, something that all of us need to do. Our team consists of so many wonderful people, each one with complementary skill sets. Leveraging team skills, because our goal is finally the same. Think and involve other people, forget egos. Again, wonderful lessons. What I found particularly heartwarming was your reference to needing an arm around you at some points of time. Really wonderful. Thank you so much for your wonderful clarity, your focus, and of course, your inspiring responses. Thank you, Samar, for your support, Dr. Naina, and all the participants. Thank you, students who asked questions, students, staff, and faculty who asked questions. Mr. Ganguly, we'd love to have you back again on campus when things are much better. Because
Yes.
while virtual presence is good, we would love to have you here in person.
Yes,
And I'm
sure,
sure
ma'am.
I'm just echoing the thoughts of everyone out here.
It'll be an honor for me to come.
Thank you once again from all of us here at Symbiosis.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And again, I would like to end this with a quote where we say that only he who can see the invisible can do the impossible. Dhanyavad, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.